Welcome to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction Title I Shorts, a technical assistance web series to help make sense of the world of Title I.
In this Title I Shorts, we will consider ways Title I funds can support educational equity through professional development. A working definition of equity we will use to outline our work was developed by the Council of Chief State School Officers, or CCSSO. That definition is, educational equity means that every student has access to the educational resources and rigor they need at the right moment in their education, across race, gender, ethnicity, language, disability, sexual orientation, family background, and/or family income. While Wisconsin has seen outstanding academic results over the past few decades, there have also been inequities in educational outcomes that indicate not all groups of students are getting what they need. Title I funds are intended to support efforts ensuring every student can succeed.
In order to determine how to support groups of students whose needs are not being met, it is important to first gather and analyze data about your school, its students, their families, and the surrounding community. Make sure you gather both quantitative data, such as reading and math scores, as well as qualitative data, such as feedback through focus groups with students, staff, and the Family Council. Analyzing your school's data may help to identify inequitable outcomes and their root causes. With a greater understanding of the data and its implications, the district and school can make a plan for building equitable outcomes. One piece of that plan is to utilize Title I funds to address those outcome gaps.
Every part of your plan must include your students' and families' cultures, languages, values, practices, traditions, and backgrounds. Engaging students and families in the plan and work builds a strong home and school connection. Engaging students and families can help empower advocates for all students. Let's say you've identified a cause of inequitable outcomes due to insufficient or inadequately prepared staff and would like to use Title I funds for professional development. Make sure that professional development being considered is directly related to the causes identified for the inequitable outcomes. Consider the following questions. Is there evidence this use of funds would address the inequitable outcomes? Does this use of funds reflect considerations of your students' cultures, languages, values, beliefs, and backgrounds? How do you know?
It is also essential that professional development you add adequately prepares your staff to work with a group of students whose needs you are trying to address. Here are a few of the important questions to ask as you make professional development decisions. Is the professional development you are planning for culturally and linguistically responsive to your students? Is job-embedded training and coaching aligned with professional development?
Now let's look at a scenario. The district allocated Title I funds for a school implementing a Title I targeted assistance program. The school's data shows that there is an achievement gap between English learners and English proficient students. All English learners are also students identified for Title I services. In order to support the English learners throughout the school day, the school invests in professional development for teachers that is focused on culturally responsive, evidence-based strategies for supporting English learners. For this scenario, we will assume the use of funds is allowable. Let's consider if it would address the inequitable outcomes.
Is there evidence that adding the staffing would contribute to addressing the inequitable outcomes? Does this staffing reflect considerations of your students' cultures, languages, beliefs, values, and backgrounds? How do you know? For this scenario, the answer is, it depends. While professional development can be incredibly impactful, it is always important to go back to the root cause analysis for the achievement gap. It may be that the school has a need for culturally responsive, high-quality instructional material, as well as appropriately licensed staff are needed to implement the instructional material. And it may be that the school's program type or model for English learners needs to be evaluated. It is also important to consider the type and length of professional development offered. Research shows that professional development is much more effective if there is also job-embedded training and coaching aligned with the professional development. As always, it is key to look at the root cause for inequitable outcomes and to consider the multiple ways you might use Title I funds to address the root cause.
Let's look at another scenario together. In our second school, the data shows there is an achievement gap in reading and math between white students and students of color. The school has decided to invest Title I funds in professional development focused on implicit bias.
Let's consider the questions from earlier. Is there evidence that adding this professional development would contribute to addressing the inequitable outcomes? Does this professional development reflect consideration of the students' cultures, languages, values, beliefs, and backgrounds? How do you know? Please pause this video for more time to think. For this scenario, the answer is, it depends. As data clearly shows an achievement gap between the white students and students of color, it is likely there is a need for professional development on implicit bias. However, as always, it is important to go back to the root cause analysis for the achievement gap when planning for how to address this gap. It may be that the school also has a need for culturally responsive, high-quality instructional material, as well as appropriately licensed staff who have training and experience to meet the unique needs of your students. If professional development on implicit bias is identified as a need, it is essential to consider the type and length of professional development offered. Again, research shows that professional development is much more effective if there is also job-embedded training and coaching aligned with the professional development. As always, it is key to look at the root cause for inequitable outcomes and to consider the multiple ways you might use Title I funds to address the root cause.
What professional development is being considered for the school or district? How will you ensure the professional development you decide upon will advance educational equity? As demonstrated with the scenarios, there's not a straightforward answer to this question. Rather, it is essential to look at what the data shows and to consider the unique needs of the students and families in the school as you determine the most equitable use of Title I funds. Additionally, it is key to remember that there is not one fast, easy solution to promoting educational equity. Once you identify the root cause of the achievement gaps, it is important to understand there are likely multiple avenues that must be addressed in order to close them. Remember to always put equity at the center of conversations when discussing what these avenues might be. Your answer lies in the questions you ask and the conversations you have with stakeholders. Consider using the following questions as starting point to guiding the conversations. Is there evidence that adding this professional development would contribute to addressing the inequitable outcomes? Does this professional development reflect considerations of your students' cultures, languages, values, beliefs, and backgrounds? How do you know? For more questions to consider when using Title I funding to close achievement gaps, check out the Title I Shorts website for more resources. Thanks for joining us today. As always, for specific questions, please reach out to your district Title I consultant or your CSED network Title I consultant. Please take a moment to provide us with feedback on this video and what you are interested in hearing about more on future videos.